What's up, dudes? Welcome to the channel. And today I had the privilege of talking to my awesome friends Marcao and Tempoe about the new nerfs that just got announced. So let's get into it. Sure. Well, I mean, I was just going to start at the top of the cards and like bounce some of the ideas that I had off of you. And then, so like Blade Dance, I guess, being the top of the shopping block. It's interesting. So
Blade
like,
Dance
go ahead.
probably the, like you say, one of the most impactful nerfs for standard.
Right.
It features in as many decks as it can, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, Tempo, but it seems like it's just so overpowered. I mean, it's the Twin Slice that really makes it powerful, but
it's the good card.
Twin Slices.
Yeah, it's the good one.
Yeah, Twin Slice is the powerful card, and then Blade Dance makes it that much more.
Oh, I was talking about the Blade Dance. The Blade Dance, I think, is like the best card in Demon Hunter.
Like I said.
Yeah, then I wonder, well, and I guess it's never been run in but here's the thing, you don't run it in like any aggressive variants of Demon Hunter, right? It's only in the mid-range and controlling, or I don't know, more long game focused versions, right?
That's because the long game ones run the soul package, so they have lapidary and more buffs to actually activate it.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. And also like the Blade Dance, or the Bladed Lady rather, is activated off of the Twin Slice, which is why I was sort of focusing in on that, like that combination of having the Bladed Lady out and then having a huge weapon or a lot of attack on your hero, and then Blade Dancing going face or Bladed Ladying going face was pretty powerful when I was playing Soul Demon Hunter in standard these last couple of days. But yeah, I think that the Blade Dance would be the natural nerf there, and it's really impactful that it goes to 3 because you can't like set up a turn where you have necessarily until turn 5 really, where you can go like double Blade Dance or double Twin Slice, Blade Dance, clear the board. You don't get as much of a swing turn, all right?
Yeah, I do see a world where you run. You can run it in Odd Demon Hunter because you already run Relentless Pursuit and Twin Slice. So that could be a thing.
Yeah, and you were saying too that, and I didn't know this because Demon Hunter is not meta right now, but apparently the people who are running it might be running Shadow Hook Slayer.
Yeah.
For even more of just a boost, right?
It's just a burn deck right now, and Blade Dance is really good with that game plan.
So it becomes a deck where you can draw really fast, right? With the Voracious Reader, you have. You were saying you probably still run Stilled Stepper, but you don't run the
acrobatics.
Yeah, I was thinking either make it more endgame focused and put in Blade Dance and don't put in Reader and keep the acrobatics, or you make it more aggro and you put in more 1-drops and the top end becomes Reader and acrobatics.
So those are the two.
And Blade Dance, you're thinking, huh?
Yeah. If it's the slower version, I think Blade Dance would go in. But if it's the faster one, well, it depends on the rest of the meta.
It's meta dependent, right? Like if Raza Priest finds a way to still be, and it will.
It will.
But if it's still in the meta, like how impactful is it to clear like some little shitters or clear a Raza when they're just going to be comboing you out? Right?
Probably good against Secret Mage, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how that matchup ends up panning out. If that's like somebody that I can think of that has a board that you actually need to clear.
That's true. Yeah, it is counterspell. You can outplay them, I guess. But
that's definitely the most impactful one because you can just do that on turn 4. You can just hero power Blade Dance, and that would clear a decent Secret Mage board, your average one.
That's 2 attack, right?
Yeah, but then you also have like your own attack. So like you have the 2 damage AoE and then the 2 attack.
You don't kill the 4/4s. You kill not a Medivh Valet. There's only like.
You end up packing with your face as well. You take a little bit of damage, but if you're able to control the board, they can't smork you as hard.
And by that point, you should have a few little guys on board too. Because if the deck is going to be mostly 1-drops, it would still be like 15 to 21 drops, even with the heavier version.
Yeah, I still assume that's going to feel bad enough that it probably would not be the card you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
In standard though, I don't know if you wanted to focus more on standard or on wild. I know you're kind of waffling if you want to be a wild streamer or a standard streamer, or like how you want to go forward with that. So if you wanted to,
I think wild for now, just because nobody's made a video yet about wild, and there's a little bit more competition. I'm sure Zeddy will have a video up pretty soon, but I'm gonna try and get mine out there tomorrow. That might be too late. So I was gonna focus on the impacts on wild for sure.
okay, so that's good for us to know.
The biggest thing I see for wild is just reader going in odd decks now.
Yep. Yeah, because Shard Shatter Mystics never seen playing wild. Doesn't matter. The question that I had, like, because I haven't played a lot of the Demon Hunter in wild, what about this Dreadlord's Bite? Because I know it's been going in the more aggressive styles, not the odd style, but there's been some aggressive acrobatic stilt stepper version. Are they going to stop running this card? Because it seems bad now.
You're gonna have some answers based on your knowledge of the game, but I have some answers based on my knowledge of the meta because I do play so much. And I would just say, like, it depends if the nerf to Raza is as impactful, or to Polkel, to Raza Priest through Polkel, rather, is where I'm going with this. If the Polkel nerf is as impactful as it could be, which is probably slightly impactful, but maybe enough that it slows the game plan enough that you can win with Demon Hunter, right? Like if they're pole culting, I guess actually if they're pole culting on 4, they're pretty unhappy, right? Because they get their top end in order, and you're gonna win if they do that. So I don't know if it's actually super relevant.
We could just talk about pole celt then, because how relevant is that to Priest game plan, and how much will that impact it? And I think it's not going to matter to them very much.
My point was not, is it relevant to the matchup directly between Priest and Demon Hunter, but is Priest going to be as prevalent in the meta? And the answer is probably yes, but maybe not quite as much, right? Because Priest does a number on Demon Hunter. If they get their AoE stuff, it's rather difficult, or it was when I was playing a lot of odd Demon Hunter, for the odd Demon Hunter to win, unless they just get their board and they smork, which I guess Demon Hunter has switched to more of a smork plan. But when you were drawing to Leroy and drawing to Lothar, and it was a slower matchup, maybe my knowledge is dated, I don't know for sure, but my thought is if you're trying to smork really hard, having a 2-drop weapon that deals, if you're going face every turn and kind of ignoring the board, maybe that 1 damage AoE to board is helpful. Maybe dropping 2 on 1 turn can be like a big board swing, and you end up dealing that 2 damage. I know I've done that in the standard list but those are reduced down to 0, so that's a different.
It also sets up
story.
Blade Dance. So if you can equip a bite on 3 and then go hero power Blade Dance on 4.
Yeah. Yeah. Gives you it 2 extra attack on that. God, that nerf, I think it really hurts them. It doesn't seem like a lot to go down 1, but remember when they like nerf Knife Juggler, and then that card stopped seeing play when it became a 2/2? I don't know if there were other things that went around that card that made it, but like I don't know, one is the difference, especially when you're an aggro deck and kind of every point of damage matters.
Yeah.
But
how I see it, Demon Hunter is just leagues worse right now than Odd Paladin and Secret Mage and Token Druid.
You mean before or after the nerfs?
Both.
Okay, yeah.
It's so much worse right now. Like, the reason it's on the face game plan instead of the get ahead on board and then go face game plan is because it can't get ahead on board against Odd Paladin, Secret Mage, or the other good aggro decks. So
they have like Yogg, oh my Yogg. They have AoE with Flame Ward. It's just not.
There's a chance that Blade Flurry helps with that a little bit if we're going that route. I mean, Blade Dance.
the better Blade Flurry in a way. Yeah, it's cheaper. It's cheaper. It doesn't destroy your weapon. It's just better.
No, but isn't better than it used to be.
You mean the one that went face?
Going face was pretty good.
That was pretty good, and it killed everything. It didn't choose 3 targets, right? Yeah.
But how often though are you allowing your opponent to get a board that's I mean, I guess having the wide AoE there probably felt like a brawl a lot of the time.
Oh, you would just let them do whatever
Yeah.
they're gonna do, and
Yeah.
AoE attack weapon, and then you win, kind of deal.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
It was pretty sweet, man. Oil Rogue, dude.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how much this Dreadlord's Bite helps against the Odd Paladin matchup, because I mean it is 1 damage AoE, and it's before, you know, they'd have a chance to like put Divine Shield on them. I guess it's turn 3, so it depends on when you're going.
Do we think Odd Paladin is going to be the new meta?
Well, I think those are the three, like,
there.
those are the good aggro decks right now, those 3.
Okay, yeah.
Like, the best ones, and I think that's still the same. Like, the build of Odd Paladin might change to include Reader stuff, and Token Druid is going to be the exact same deck, just worse with Reader.
Yeah, just
Reader.
worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're real happy.
So that makes me think Odd Paladin and Secret Mage are going to be better, maybe.
Yep.
And Secret Mage is already killing it. Deck's
Yeah.
kind of insane.
This makes Raza pretty happy, right? I mean, the Reader nerf to Druid.
Yep. It's one of its worst matchups, and that's like their refill. I don't know. I mean, they're still going to get out on turn 1 and 2 and buff their board and make Priest really sad, but yeah, it'll be. And then if they draw the Roar or not, which they tend to.
Might kill aggro Druid. It might not be the end of it, but it
I
might
don't
like
think-
kill its prevalence on like high ladder.
Let's hope so.
It was still a relevant deck before when it was running Jeeves instead, which was just the same thing but for 4. So
But I mean, you think about the power of the
Yeah.
other decks too.
it drew your opponent cards too. So
Yeah.
you know.
God, I haven't played Wild enough then, because like when I got into Wild, I don't think was aggro Druid like prevalent in the meta for the
It
last.
wasn't very not very many people were playing it, but it wasn't that much worse than it is now.
Mm.
Kind of weird.
It's
You mean on
pretty
there,
it's pretty good now.
Your power
Yeah,
level?
like in a vacuum, it was almost as powerful as it is now. It got the only like the best new stuff it got is like Gibberling.
Mm.
And honestly, Gibberling is pretty good, but it just gets AoE.
It was before it was literally minus Gibberling, and Reader, and plus like more of the pirate package and Jeeves, and that's like pretty much just it.
I don't know this for sure because I wasn't playing at that point, but I feel like it's so much of it is meta dependent. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, people might not have seen that it was powerful, but the fact that you can get that Savage Roar like lethal on turn 3 or turn 4 or turn 5, and the fact that you're not getting that because you're not getting Reader down on 2 into Savage Roar on 3 off the Reader maybe, or Reader on 3 into Savage Roar on 4, like it makes it worse, right? Because I mean, you don't see it necessarily when you're playing against the deck. We were talking about hand reading before, right? Like you don't necessarily see that your opponent is holding back versus playing the Reader based on how many cards they have in hand, but like having it cost 1 more means they can't play a card and play the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
that makes Reader worse in the deck even beyond the nerf to its cost, right? It's like you have to pay more to get it on board if it's the only card in hand, and you can't play other cards with it. Like you can't buff it on turn 3 with a Mark of the Lotus to keep it alive in certain matchups. Like Odd Paladin might be better against it because they can just kill off the Reader and you don't get the double, refill or reload off that. So it's just, and I mean, it's not like the hardest of things to see, but
I'm trying to remember,
certainly-
when was the last time the Jeeves version was relevant? Was it relevant like up until the Reader was introduced in Skullmancy? Is that kind of how the progression happened?
I wouldn't say it was like not very many people played it at any point, really. It was just if you ran into it, it still felt like a real deck and you would still lose half the time and everything. It's just not many people like had it as their main deck.
Got it.
It's really like the celebrities started playing it, and then
Yeah, the Reader came out and everyone was like, this card is nuts.
Yeah.
Let's put it in something.
and then people started winning.
Druid
it
was the
at
deck,
High
so.
Legend.
Got it. So I guess the question is, will it kill the deck? And it sounds like the deck was still strong, even with a 4 mana worse Voracious Reader. So that would make you think it would still be good. It'll definitely be harder and it'll be worse. What's a comparable deck that has seen things like that happen, but it still kept seeing play? It just got a little bit. Dark Glare would be a good example of that, right?
Where like the card is, you know what I think could happen though, actually. And this could happen next expansion. This might be something to mention in the video if you agree with me, is it might be a parallel to Dark Glare. I mean, this is kind of a bold statement, but it could be a parallel to Dark Glare where like it was really, really good and like broken, and then they took one of the better cards in the deck and made it slightly more expensive. Well, in the case of Dark Glare, it was different, but they altered it so that it wasn't as powerful. And then people had to work their way around how to make the deck work.
Right. It's almost not as offensive as Dark Glare because like that was they're taking 1 mana away essentially, whereas with Dark Glare they took multiple amounts of mana away. You know,
it's different though because it's
different. Similar. I was making the same correlation like right before you spoke. Right, I was going to say Dark Glare because it was like a very prominent mana cheating kind of thing. Yep.
How I see it.
Yeah.
Tier 1 is Dark Glare and Raza Priest right now, and I still see that being the same after. And then,
do you think Dark Glare becomes more powerful than Raza Priest with the bulk out nerf?
No, I think Raza Priest is almost exactly the same deck. I don't think the bulk out nerf's can do that much.
Does it ever switch it the other way?
You normally just don't play it against aggro.
Does it ever switch it the other way if people find a way to cut bulk out?
No, you wouldn't. I don't think you would cut bulk out. It still just wins you the game in the mirror or against control or anything like that. But the bulk out's for against control anyways. Like if you're playing bulk out against control, you
like in the mirror.
And if you're playing it against aggro, you're probably pretty sad because you're not playing another thing, and they just played a full board and then they killed you.
And then you die.
Yeah.
So no taunt. It's not even a soft taunt.
How I see it, those 2 decks are still the best 2 decks. The order might swap because of the bulk health. I don't think so though. And then tier 2, like the top of tier 2, I think was those 3 good aggro decks. And with the reader nerf, I think Token Druid might drop to like mid tier 2 or bottom tier 2, but like still up there.
You think it's still going to be real good?
Yeah, I think it's still real good. I think the other 2 of those 3 decks are going to be maybe a little better now. Like I'm probably going to play Odd Pally instead, mostly.
I'll be playing some Dark.
Odd Pally is super fun, man. It's really cool. It got some really fun new tools. I like it. And I'm not much of an aggro player at all, but it's a really fun deck because of all the sustain, and it's just really cool.
I think personally, I thought Lithraxion was going to be good, but I didn't realize it was going to be like core to the deck necessarily.
Well, and then oh my Yogg, dude. Oh my Yogg, dude.
Oh my God. So good. I knew it was going to be good, but like it's good.
I kind of didn't get how good it was going to be, actually.
I think it feels kind of comparable in a way to the Revenant Rascal like shenanigans you can pull, right? Where it just play it on any turn. Some turns it's better to play it, but you don't really have to think about when you're playing it. You can like time it perfectly if you want to play like on 6 going into their 7 to try to block their screen. Talking about my Yogg. But
yep. Well, and that's the thing. If you time it well, it totally screws them out of the game, depending on if they're on coin or not, right? So you kind of have to be a little. You got to be smart about your lines with it.
And having coin can be okay.
It can just spend all their mana.
It can spend all their mana. It can beaker light. It can beaker light.
I guess I haven't seen it spend all their mana. So wait, what's a 0-cost spell that spends all their mana? The flames one, the mage one.
Every forbidden spell, apparently.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there were forbidden spells. But
you know, I only know the mage one. There are more.
Yeah.
Oh, right. There's forbidden shaping.
Oh, forbidden shaping. Yeah. What's the other one? Forbidden shaping, forbidden words. The mage one.
Yeah, forbidden. I don't know.
Forbidden words from priest.
They can get like embiggen and it can be useless for them, right?
Embiggen's fine though.
I usually it wastes the coin, right? If they wanted to coin something out, it wastes the coin. I'm just listing other ones. I've had Beaker Lightning happen.
Yeah,
that was unfortunate. But they overloaded 2 though, so it's.
I'm blanking on Beaker Lightning. Oh, it's a Shaman card. Deal 1, overload 2.
it's pretty bad for them when they get it. Like they kill if they play it on if they coin on turn 2 to coin out like Sense Demons, say if they're Arena Lock or a Dark Lair that's running Sense Demons, then they end up without a turn 4. And then without turn 4, you can like establish. You push the button, and you push the button again, and then on turn 4, they do nothing.
But wait. Don't you have a board full of 1/1s at this point, and deal 1 damage to all minions is good? I guess they're screwed.
No, on turn 3 they clear. On turn 4, you push the button, and then they do nothing, and then you like quartermaster.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's not like it just like can guarantee that. I mean it's so unlikely that happens too because there's like 10 0-cost spells, but
there's a lot. I was just going through them. There's probably like 40.
I'm going off an experience a game that I was.
Wait, never mind. I have all these golden ones still.
I got Beacon Lightning again. Yeah, so it looks like there's.
Yeah, I guess there's like 20 or so.
But yeah, you can get them to skip their turn. There's like a lot of positive outcomes for it on 0 mana, and then it makes them think that you have it too, right? So if you're running other spells, like you could almost run Never Surrender if you.
Right. That is the counter spell effect.
I think you always run. Oh my god, 2 copies. Probably not Never Surrender, unless I'm wrong. I don't know.
So just really quickly, Dino Tamer brand, that doesn't matter because Hunter's not a class, and
it's for standard almost.
Right. No, I know.
It doesn't matter, but
just for completion's sake. The card got worse.
Reno.
It's not a real deck, but even Reno Hunter, you can still run all the Reno cards in it.
They may have to nerf it. They have to consider building the new expansion, right?
So wait, why was even Reno Hunter bad? I mean, I never played the deck. Would it be better if it had a nice finisher like that, and then
it would definitely be better.
Ran like Zephyrus for Wind Fury or some shit?
Yeah, I don't know if it brings it to playable.
it's still a
definitely
right? You go Bran, and then you go Zephyrus. You get Wind Fury for next turn.
I guess we're gonna be playing it though. That sounds fun. I'll probably have to try that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, I'm thinking it might be like the sleeper thing, right? Probably not, but it might be the Dark Lair of this expansion or this nerf. That's
kind of what I'm hoping, that it actually brings some old stuff out of the woodwork that was not seeing any play. Some of the Baku decks and such. Gen decks, yeah.
Well, where it might actually make those decks viable beyond just being pure memes because it's Hunter.
So I want to talk a little bit more about the impact of Polkelt, just because we kind of like glossed over it. Does it mean anything? It doesn't change like your draw order. It's not like it doesn't interrupt that because it is the only card that affects the draw order, right?
The main thing I see it impacting is if you have it and Raza in your hand, you're playing the Raza, so it like delays the Polkelt turn even more.
It could impact the draw order because you don't get Anduin as early, right? So if you drop it on your turn 5, it would be that you don't get the Reno as early. If they drop it, if it's the mirror match, say, maybe I'm making this up as I go along, but like there's a scenario where you're on turn 5, you drop Polkelt, so it's the earliest you could have dropped it. They have coin. They do whatever they do their turn 5, and then turn 6 they coin Psychic Scream, right? Or they play a bomb weapon, and if Bomb Warrior is ever a thing, but like some way of shuffling things into your deck and disrupt the order because you couldn't play it as early. Is that ever a thing? Do you think?
It's hard to think. Bomb Warrior is always a problem in my experience for Reno Priest. If you can't get Raza online by 5, you're just kind of screwed.
I think exactly. It could be relevant that like in the mirror, if you have Raza and Polkelt and you play the Polkelt, or like if you have only the Polkelt, say, and you play the Polkelt and then they play Raza, it's like a free trade for them.
Ooh, that's true. Do you guys think my point had any validity? And it's okay if you're like, no. But about it being one turn later where like you might not get your Reno that you might need for.
I could see it,
Like,
but
it's kind of a fringe circumstance.
I
But
think in a world where you're playing a 5/4 and you need a Reno, you're probably gonna die.
playing a 5/4.
A 4/5, yeah.
4 or 5.
I'm sorry, yeah.
I mean, it comes down to planning in some scenarios. So I can hear what Marcao's saying in the sense that, like, yeah, well, yeah, but then you also, what was your name again? Sorry.
Tempo.
Tempo. Yeah, well, that's a fitting name for this Tempo conversation. If you're playing a 4/5 on 5 and you need Reno,
Yeah, for sure.
then yeah, you probably are already dead.
Whatever. Yeah, for sure. It just slows it down a little bit. It's not a big nerf, I don't think. I could be wrong about that. But
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, you're not playing the bulk out for tempo anyways. Obviously, it's worse tempo now, but
playing a 4-mana Yeti and playing a 5-mana Yeti, if that's what you're playing it as, is not much different. It might make it so you don't play it if you're playing it on 5, potentially.
Yeah, it depends on what instances you find yourself in on 5 now. You're like facing a different board by turn 5. So it being a little bit slower does make it pretty bad. Yeah, in your aggro matchups, you're just not wanting to keep that card anyway, I think.
Well, sure. But that's if you draw it, though, right? It gives you, it's good for the Raza Priest that they wouldn't draw into...
Right. I guess in my experience against Secret Mage, it's a pretty decent card to play on 4 because they're not going to kill you by turn 6, usually. I guess it depends on how the rest of the game went and how it's gotten worse. They've definitely gotten stronger.
That's the most relevant matchup because you play it out on 4 into their 4/4s. Yeah, and that can actually be good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now you're just sitting there with it in your hand till turn 5. So what is Priest doing on turn 4 now? That's another question.
4 was the turn that they could pass by playing Polkelt, and they got their Wombo combo handed to them from the top of the deck. Yeah, what?
Maybe
Do you throw a greater healing potion in?
I mean, the Dustbreaker stuff was in there at one point. That could go back in. Probably not. But...
The Dragon version was always a little slower, but yeah, better against aggro.
With the Dragon version, you kind of have to run Alex Straza, and then that screws with the Polkelt combo as well.
Not necessarily.
Well, yeah, I guess you don't have to, but it feels weird not to.
It's kind of greedy if you think about it.
Yeah,
I think it's not the play, but it's the most powerful turn 4 I could think of.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, since we actually aren't able to slot in anything, it's more going to be probably a combination of cards, right? On turn 4. Like Breath plus Spirit Lash, maybe to... the problem is nothing on 4, probably. They all have 4 health by that point.
You could do Insight is run in some lists, right? So you could do Insight on 4. You could like Palm Reading on 3.
Palm Reading's changed everything.
That's very true.
Such a good card.
So broken.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could go Palm Reading. A line that you could end up with is Palm Reading into Insight into Polkelt.
I see what you're saying. It would be Palm Reading on 3, Insight on 2. Yeah, if you draw it.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's just I mean, I saw some people cutting Insight from it, but it just seems like that's your whole game plan is to draw, and if you can get any reduction on any of the minions you're trying to play, aside from even Spawn of Shadows for like a late game finisher being easier. God, is there any minion that you don't want to have a 2-mana reduction on?
Penflinger's a little bit sad, but it's also good.
Yeah, that's the worst one for sure. Because
the only one where it's 1 mana and you just don't get the reduction, but you get the draw.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter. Actually, having a 0 mana Penflinger won me a game earlier today playing Raza Priest.
Really? Yeah, I mean, because you only get its effect once, because then it comes back and it's not 0 mana, so that feels bad about it.
Yeah, but having that extra 6 damage with the combo made it possible.
You were playing Raza Priest? Oh my gosh.
No, I'm so dumpstered I needed to play it to win that.
Sweet.
I can't play. I'm awful. I'm a terrible person. least I'm not playing Res Priest.
I don't know. I'm a huge Reno Priest player, so I'm in the same boat, man. I think it's I like winning way too much to not play it.
I play mute stuff, and then I decide I'm too low in the dumpster, and then I play Reno Priest, or I decide I want to get Legend, and I play Reno.
Got you. I wondered what your go-to actually winning deck was, because I know you've been really nursing this the Dark Lair thing, trying to figure it out.
Mine in Wild was Token Druid, so feels bad.
Yeah. But you know, I play so much. I've played almost as many games of almost as much like time of other decks as I've played Dark Lair, since Dark Lair was like resurrected, I guess. Maybe a little bit more, but yeah, I've played 1,200 games of Dark Lair since it was like a new. It's the second coming of Dark Lair, or whatever you want to call it.
Second wave.
The resurrection.
All right, you were telling me Tempo wasn't into it when it was really busted, and now potentially still is not into it, right?
We were into it.
I was into the more complicated weird turns where there was a lot of counting and it hurt my brain, because I like to hurt my brain sometimes.
It's not like
That's funny. I think it almost hurts my brain a little bit more, just because I feel so upset that it's so much harder to do what I want to do.
Were we playing it wrong before, like me and K1zm3t, where we were ending up just jamming cards and getting the mana that we needed because you just get 2 mana? Or
God, that was my experience. You could literally just play everything. There was very little. It was very APM.
Thinking, but all APM, right? Like you just had
the
to
thing
know
with it was you could play everything, but you had to know like which matchups you needed to hold what back for, and things like that.
It's mostly like, can I play Lotheb into this priest? Do I need to hold back stuff for this priest? And then if it's at the time it was like warrior into Borov, and none of it mattered.
But isn't it that anyway with the new Dark Lair? I didn't play as much.
Nobody's playing warrior though.
Yeah, no one plays warrior. It's the secret mage that's the.
Yep.
I was telling you,
you can't play warrior anymore. I tried. Res Priest is 100.
No, I don't know. So like, I just saw Corbett's Twitter. He posted #1 with ETC warrior. So that deck has got some.
Yeah, he meant Odd Warrior. I think Temple meant Odd Warrior, which is
gotcha.
Odd Warrior, but you literally can't do anything against Res Priests. So.
I know that Duwin was running. You were saying that he was running. We were talking through a list that he was #3 with, if I remember correctly, and then Corbett got to #1.
Yeah, he beat Get Me Off to get to rank 1. I think Get Me Off was like 27 in the picture there on Twitter. Well, dudes, as I said, I probably only had 20 minutes. I got to go cook dinner for my family. But it was super cool to meet you, Tempo, and thanks for the introduction, Marcao.